Hi, I'm Justin.
Hi, Justin.
Who knows of a significant event that occurred not the day of our last class, but the day of our class before last, 3 weeks ago, other than perhaps some midterms? Anybody? Well, the answer I was looking for does involve midterms, just of another type. What I'm referring to is the U.S. congressional midterm elections that were held on Tuesday, November 4th. Now, how many of you guys voted in these elections? Be honest. Okay. Well, in the defense of those of you who didn't, anarchist Emma Goldman once said, if voting ever changed anything, they'd make it illegal. However, my message today serves to refute the cynicism of Miss Goldman. Today, I would like to ask and answer the question as posed prior to the midterms of, as Democrats and Republicans vie for control of the House of Representatives, what will be the most important contested seat? Again, as Democrats and Republicans vie for control of the House in 2014, what will be the most important contested seat? And my answer, which does not rely on any post-election information or knowledge since it was posed prior to the midterm elections, is that the race for California's 52nd congressional district, involving incumbent Scott Peters and challenger Carl DeMaio, will be the most important contested seat of 2014. And I will give you 3 reasons. First, DeMaio has the potential to become the first openly gay Republican congressman in the history of U.S. Congress. Second, DeMaio is a new-look Republican who could offer viable policy alternatives to the all-powerful Tea Party and show the national GOP a way forward. Third, Scott Peters, if re-elected, has the pro-business vision and support necessary to bring Democrats and Republicans together to make changes in U.S. fiscal policy. Now, before I go further into the reasons, it's important to explain to you why this matters. Because certainly one congressional race isn't going to determine control of the House of Representatives, and even if you guys did vote, you wouldn't have been able to vote in this election. But I argue that this still matters and should be of interest to each and every one of you, because whether you're a Democrat or whether you're a Republican, this election has national significance. And that's because DeMaio and Peters are moderates in their respective parties who have shown a willingness to bargain and compromise on key policy issues like immigration reform, student debt reform, or even improvements in our healthcare system. All policies which materially affect, hopefully for the better with their changes, our lives and our livelihoods. So now my first reason why this Peters-DeMaio race is the most important race in 2014 is because of DeMaio's potential to be an openly gay Republican congressman. As Winston Ross points out in his National Journal article on July 12, 2014, DeMaio would not only be the only openly gay Republican elected this term, but he would be the first openly gay Republican ever to serve in U.S. Congress. And as is further pointed out by Alejandro Lasso in his October 2014 Wall Street Journal article, DeMaio's status as an openly gay Republican would put him in a unique situation to modernize the Republican Party, make it more inclusive and constructive. I feel this is important because he could offer a new Republican stance on divisive social issues like gay marriage, which could enable the Republican Party to capture the socially liberal but fiscally conservative voting bloc, of which there is a large portion. And if the Republicans are able to capture this voting bloc, they could consolidate control on all 3 branches of the federal government and come to dominate American politics. Now, my second reason why this race for California's 52nd district in San Diego County is the most important race of 2014 is because DeMaio is a moderate, and that is unique at a time where we're seeing increasing polarization in Congress. In fact, as Alex Eisenstadt in his midterm election preview in 2014 in Politico points out, DeMaio is a moderate voice at a time where congressional Republicans are increasingly straying to the ideological right. And as is further pointed out by Claire Trageser in her KPBS column covering the election in California's 52nd district in October 2014, DeMaio supports a female right to an abortion. He supports federal support of veterans, giving them federal aid upon returning from war. And he's shown a willingness to compromise on immigration reform, all of which do not conform to the Tea Party agenda, and all of which could bring important reforms that help boost the reputation of House Republicans. Now, my third reason why the race for California's 52nd District is the most important race of 2014 is because Scott Peters, if re-elected, has the necessary pro-business vision and support to bring Democrats and Republicans together to bring much-needed reform in fiscal policy. As Chris Nichols, UT San Diego columnist, in his September 2014 article points out, Scott Peters earned the endorsement of the largest American business lobby in our country, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. This is a very rare endorsement for a Democrat, and as Nichols argues, this shows just how committed Peters is to economic growth, to job creation, and to other fiscal reforms that Democrats and Republicans could come together on. Now, I feel this is important because, like DeMaio, Peters has his own unique stance within the Democratic Party that could bring an end to the bitter partisan deadlock we see in Congress and bring about reforms in areas like tax code revisions and taxing and spending and student debt reform, all policies which materially affect young and middle-class Americans like ourselves. So to summarize and conclude, I have shown you that Carl DeMaio's potential to be the first openly gay Republican to ever serve in the U.S. Congress, DeMaio's new-look policies that differ from the Tea Party and offer the national GOP a way forward, and Peters' pro-business support and vision that could enable Democrats and Republicans to come together to bring much-needed fiscal policy reforms, are all evidence that should leave you all with no doubt that the congressional district race in California's 52nd District in San Diego County is the most important race of 2014. So when November 2016 rolls around and a speaker asks you guys how many of you voted in the election, I hope most, if not all of you, are able to raise your hand. Because an important election like the congressional district race in California's 52nd District is evidence that the anarchist rhetoric of Miss Goldman, if voting mattered, it wouldn't change anything. It's not only unfounded, but it's also at odds with the ideals of our great nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's start here. What did you like? Start with your name. Amina.
Nina.
Hi, Nina.
I think that your speech was very informative, and I did learn a lot from it.
Improvement.
I'm Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi. I think you could have used more intonation in your voice, been a little bit more excited about it. You were not monotone, but not excited either.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. How, Justin, did you have a private person you wanted to win this race, or not really? You were indifferent. You chose the topic and said, what the heck, I'm doing an academic exercise, and what the heck, right?
Yeah, I looked at contested races and what could have national importance, so I picked this one.
Yeah. I loved your Emma Goldman quote, if voting changed anything, they'd make it illegal. It's a great quote. And it's a very cynical one, of course, suggesting that voting doesn't change anything. I thought that you did a really good job on your significant statement to this group of showing them that student loans and student debt and things like that are pertinent to them, would be coming up in the near future, and these people had a positive vote on that. So that was very good. On your main body, I guess, I don't know. Let me play devil's advocate here for a moment. I know that you're quoting such famous people as Alejandro